listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and today, man, just like any other day, we have another amazing show lined up for y'all. We're going to talk to an amazing guest today, Josh Thomas. He's the founder of Factor One. He is also a podcast host of an amazing show, The Do Zone. You can go to that website, thedozone.com/podcast. We're going to learn everything about his entrepreneurship story and everything that he's doing today. So first and foremost, let's learn more about Josh. How you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, Shmaya. Great to be here.
Man, I appreciate your time. So kind of give us a little snapshot of your entrepreneurship experience, because, I mean, looking at the stats, man, you've been doing it.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing about being an entrepreneur is you do a lot of things wrong and you make a lot of mistakes and you want to quit, give up, cry in the corner, set things on fire, yell at things, break things. But the only real way to win, the only real way to make it is to just not stop. There are so many times where you just want to stop and go and do something else. And the answer or the solution to whatever problem or challenge that you're facing is just on the other side of that perseverance. And I know that sounds a little bit cheesy, like a cat hanging off of the, like, inspirational cat hanging off the poster, like never give up, you know, but that's really what it is, because there's so many times where the universe or life or whatever is going to try to stop you. And you can decide to say, yeah, you know what, you're right, I am going to stop. Or you can just keep pushing no matter what. And that's going to help you get to the result you want. Maybe not the one that you expect, though.
And like I said earlier, you're the founder of Factor One. It's a unique business advisory for service-based entrepreneurs seeking rapid growth support. And you've been doing this for a good while. And you have over 5,000 plus entrepreneurs on your resume. I mean, break that down. What was the brand that you wanted to implement, and give us a little education on how you help your clients?
Yeah, sure thing. So as far as those 5,000 clients, you know, some of them were very brief. Some of them were for years. I've had clients that I helped for an hour, and I've had clients that I've helped for 5 years. The thing that I noticed, though, after that many clients and that much exposure, is successful entrepreneurs all pretty much tend to do the same things over and over and over again. And on the flip side, unsuccessful entrepreneurs pretty much tend to do the same things over and over again. And so you really have to be careful. You have to choose wisely. What are the things that you're doing to occupy your time with? And we really have to start there. What are we actually doing during the day? And can we answer that question? And if we can answer that question, is that helping lead us towards our goal? Do we even know what our goal is? A lot of times as entrepreneurs, we end up just kind of spinning our wheels, getting into this hustle culture. It happens a lot. You know, I'm really busy. I got a lot of stuff going on. I got to make these calls. I got to go to these events. But if you don't have the clarity that these things are going to lead you to a specific result that you've already established, I have this destination in mind. If you haven't done that work, it's going to be very difficult for you to get there. I would think of it, Shmaya, like if we were taking a road trip and I said, you know, hey man, I'm going to take a road trip. You want to get in the car? The first question that you would have for me would be what? What would be the first question you ask?
Where are we going, man?
Where are we going?
Yeah.
Right? And what if I said, oh, I don't really have much of a destination in mind. I just figure we just kind of go that way and see where it takes us. I mean, are you getting in the car with me, or are you going to be like, nah, dude, you're a crazy person. I'm not doing that.
I'm like, hey, man, ain't enough gas for you.
Right? And so a lot of us run our businesses that way. I'll ask a question. One of the first questions I ask anytime I'm talking to somebody is, what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And I'll get an answer like that. I haven't really thought about like a financial goal or anything. I just kind of want to, do as best I can. And it's like, I ain't getting in the car with you, dude.
That's good.
And so what I'm looking for is I'm looking for people to say, I want to go to Disney World and I want to get there by the end of the month. And now that I know that, now I can say, okay, cool. Let's reverse engineer where you're at right now and where Disney World is. And what kind of plan can we put together to get you there now that we know that you have a destination? And if we have that destination, everything else starts to fall in place. Now it comes back to the stuff we were talking about earlier is successful entrepreneurs do the same things over and over and over again. Well, the same things in this situation is pointing your car towards Disney World and taking a few more steps that way versus just running around in circles and staying busy because you don't even know where you're going. So that's really the first thing that you got to focus on in order to make things different. And I hate to disappoint your audience by not bringing like some magical wizard voodoo about how to solve all your problems. But a lot of times, man, it just comes down to blocking and tackling. Are you taking care of the basics?
Yeah, I love that because what you're saying is very true. I mean, what's very interesting, you can touch on this, is sometimes we don't get productive until we are forced to meet a deadline. And for you, you had a story that I read in your bio that you had a decision that you had to make. You had a career transition. You had to make a bold move to leave a secure job to pursue what you wanted to do, a career in real estate. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, it's interesting. That career in real estate was very short, but the motivation to get there, I was working a job, getting a salary, working for the state. It was very secure. But it just wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't taking me where I wanted it to go. And so I decided to leave. I got my license in real estate. But what I didn't realize is it was July of 2008 and nobody could get a loan. And also I had no skills. And so that crashed and burned real fast. But I knew I didn't want to go back to my regular job. And so it forced me to find another way. Well, how do I make a living if it's not getting a job? And so I went on the internet and I typed in something stupid like how to make money online. Spoiler alert, you will not get the answer if you type that in.
Yeah.
Not even in 2008, when it was a lot easier to make money online. But what I did get, though, is I got exposed to mentors. I got exposed to different ways of thinking and operating. And that led me down a bunch of rabbit holes of starting to learn, well, who am I and what value do I actually offer? What are those core skills that I'm bringing with me from my upbringing, my childhood, my pedigree, my education, that I can apply to something different, like helping people run a business? What are those skills and how can I harness those? And that's what really launched me into the next gig until I could ultimately do my own thing and not have to work for anybody anymore. And so I would say the biggest, and I wanted to quit so many times, man.
Yeah.
So many times it was just like, this ain't working. I wasted a decade just like messing around, trying to make things work that weren't supposed to work. And it wasn't until I started doing what everybody else was doing that works consistently that I started creating results. I kept trying to reinvent the wheel over and over and over. Man, the wheel's been around for like 100,000 years probably at this point. I don't need to invent the wheel. I just need to go and get one and start using it. And so once I got on that track, that's when things started to happen. And once I got consistent with it, that's when things started to grow fast. Because there's kind of two steps we got to take as an entrepreneur. Number one, we got to stop doing the stuff that doesn't work, and we got to start doing what works. That's like step number one. If you're not there, if what you're doing is not working, stop doing that. Do the thing that works. Start there. Once you're doing the thing that works, step two Keep doing the thing that works, period. You keep doing that. You do what works and you repeat. Success is a matter of time and effort at that point.
We're talking to our guest, Josh Thomas, the founder of Factor One. And man, what you're saying is like all the amazing people out on the show, just like you, it's a common thread. Just point blank, just for the audience to understand. It's very simple as far as the ideal of a successful person. And I believe the ideal of a successful person is the common thread that, number one, they don't let their setbacks be their dead end. They let their setbacks be their detour. For you, how have you used your setbacks in your own life as an opportunity to, whether it's a wake-up call or, I'm glad I learned that. Let's not go that same route. Let's readjust.
That's a great question, man. So I did end up getting another sort of job, if you will, after the real estate thing fell through, because I had no skills. I was not prepared to be completely independent. I had to go and gather some skills, and I also had to pay my rent. So I ended up getting a job at a call center, and I was very fortunate. And I got a great trainer. He taught me how to sell. And sales is one of those skills that once you have it, you never really have to worry about anything ever again. You'll always have a job if you know how to sell. And so I leveraged the sales skills into a consulting firm. It was a marketing consulting firm. And I ended up working with those guys as a salesperson for like 6 more years. And I was learning on their dime. They were teaching me how to run businesses and help businesses. And they were also paying me to do sales. And it was a great relationship. I loved it, but it was coming to an end. And the boss got on the phone and said, "Hey, this is the end of the road for us. It's time for you to move on and do something else." I was basically getting fired, and I'm like, okay. And I was pissed. I was super frustrated, and I was angry at him. Like, why? How could he do that? I got off the phone, and I was on a really strict diet at the time. I was trying to like slim down. And the only thing that I could think of was, all right, I'm going to get a bottle of whiskey and like 16 ice cream cakes. And I'm just going to throw down tonight, man. I don't even remember my name tomorrow. It was a very toxic thing to think, but that's how it was at the moment. And then I stopped myself and I thought, you know what? This guy's decision about what he wants to do with his business, that's his problem. Whatever he thinks about me, that's his problem. My problem is I got to deal with me, and I got to deal with the consequences of my action and my situation, and no amount of whiskey or ice cream cake is going to solve my problem. And so what I decided to do after about 5 minutes of very difficult contemplation is I decided, you know what? I'm going to stick with my diet, and I'm going to put some feelers out. I'm going to stay sober, and I'm going to find another opportunity, and I'm just going to let the universe do what it does. And so I reached out to a handful of people, and within 24 hours of getting fired from this job, I had my very first ever 100% independent consulting gig. That was not a job, but it was, in fact, a monthly retainer, somebody paying me to help them grow their business 24 hours later. And that is a moment I go back to, Shemaiah, over and over and over again whenever I'm struggling, because more than anything, it had to do with unwavering faith. Unwavering faith that if I keep doing the right things, the right results will happen. If I become the type of person, this is a Hal Elrod quote, if you become the type of person who can accomplish the goal is just a matter of time and effort. And so me having that faith that, no, you know what? Everything's going to be all right. I just got to keep going. And then boom, 24 hours later, I had my first consulting gig, because instead of going getting hammered and fat, I sent some emails and said, "Hey, who's looking for help?" And I got an answer right away. And the rest is history, man. I never got it. I've been unemployed ever since.
A lot goes in my mind while I listen to guests like that, like you, when you talk like that, because it's like when you look at teams, whatever sport you're a fan of. So when there's a league and there's X number of teams in that league, what is the coach saying? And each team in their own locker room, what are they saying, right? They want to get that championship, right? The funny thing, though, is you talk about, like, not reinventing the wheel and all that stuff. What can be the most different thing the coach is really saying to those players when it comes to practice, fundamentals, and keep your head in the game? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was the major difference? The major difference is the individuals on that team. Do they buy into that? And do they go after that every game, every play, until they go to that big, day where they win the championship? I want to use that as a metaphor in life. You agree or disagree that that's almost like a metaphor in life? Like, you can have all the mentors you can have. You have all the books you can read, all the podcasts you can listen to. But until you believe in it, man, and execute, then what is it?
Yep. And I think it's those two parts go together. The belief and the faith, and then the execution to back it up. Because I believe in a lot of things that I don't take action on, and I don't get any results from those. But the ones that I execute on consistently, those are the ones that produce results for me. And again, right back to the same thing for entrepreneurs. If you are trying to grow to the next level, first of all, you have to have a destination. We talked about that. Secondly, you have to have the faith that you can get there. Talked about that. And then finally, you have to take the steps to put you in that direction over and over and over again until you look up and you realize you're there. And honestly, man, I wouldn't even look up until somebody tells you to stop. Oh, hey, dude, you're about to pass it. Oh, okay.
Right.
Maybe I can enjoy this now. And if you stick with that, then you're going to start realizing, like, man, your brain is designed to keep you in a comfort zone and keep you away from challenges and risks and discomfort and all of these things. And that's cool. Like, thanks, brain. You're keeping me alive. But saber-toothed tigers are extinct. Like, there are not too many mortal threats these days. You can get a little bit uncomfortable because outside of that zone of comfort is where all your progress lies.
Yeah. I didn't know he's a comedian, man. That was good. Yeah. It's interesting too. And this ties in everything that we're talking about, especially, you being your own boss and all that. When it comes to, I want to piggyback what you said about being comfortable. Based on my own experience, I just feel like the more you become comfortable, the less you take accountability seriously. Because to have accountability, I believe sometimes it forces you to get uncomfortable with your current state.
Accountability is everything. There have been studies done, so there's science that will back this up. But if you say you're going to do something, Shmai, I'm going to take a trip to Greece. And my chances of going to Greece are very, very low. But if I commit to myself, I'm going to go to Greece. I'm committing to this. I'm definitely going to do it. Now I got about a 1 in 4 chance. If I commit to you and I say, Shmai, I'm going to go to Greece. Hold me to it. Now my chances go up 65%. But if I say, Shmai, I'm going to go to Greece, and you and I are going to sit down on Saturday at 2 p.m., go over the itinerary and buy the tickets. Now my chances of actually following through and completing that task goes up, according to science, 95%. And that's accountability. There's 3 parts to it. First, you have to commit to yourself. Secondly, you have to commit to some outside party, another person. And then finally, you have to commit to time. And if you commit to those three things, your chances of actually accomplishing the task you're almost guaranteed to do it. And so accountability alone can push you forward as long as you use it correctly.
Man, I hope people take some notes, man, because that's what needs to be said. I mean, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a 9-to-5er, I remember I talked to someone. I said, man, whether you're your own boss or you work for a boss, I just feel like it's a similar thread as far as the happy person. Happy person is someone who knows who they are. If you know who you are, chances are you kind of know where you want to go. And if you kind of know where you want to go because you know who you are, then you probably get there. And a person who's not happy is a person who don't know who they are. Or they're a person who knows who they are, but they don't know where they're going. But you can almost argue that they probably don't know who they are. They don't know where they're going. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. So you building your brand, building these services, you have to know who you are. You didn't have to worry about the guy next to you, how much money they make, what kind of clients they have. How did you keep yourself clear on not just having, smart goals, but having a vision, right, of where you will want to pursue your happiness. Because it's one thing to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be happy. But it's another thing to plan it out. And like we've been discussing, taking those action steps to actually push, the envelope, so to speak.
Well, I'm going to give you an answer that you may not like or expect. There's a lady named Dr. Loretta Brunning. She has a book called Habits of a Happy Brain. And one of the things that she talks about, she's studied the behavior patterns of apes for like 30 years. And we have a lot of similarities, apes and humans. And one of the things that she talks about is our chemical design, the makeup of our brain and our hormonal systems and all of that stuff. We're not designed to be happy. Like as human beings, happiness by itself does not contribute to our survival as a species. And so we're just not wired that way. And so I'm going to be a little controversial and say it's okay to not be happy as long as you understand why you're not happy. It's a state of being. Happiness, if you're happy all the time, it really doesn't make any sense. Like pain becomes unreal, and then eventually if you're happy all the time, happiness becomes unreal. And so like, I think that in order to really be successful at anything that you want to do, you kind of got to put yourself into this state of stress, at least for a while. Just like if you're working out, building muscles is basically putting your muscle fibers under stress and ripping them. Like that's working out. You're actually like breaking parts of your body so that you can strengthen them. And the same thing really happens in our mental state. We have to put ourselves through stuff that's uncomfortable, that's difficult, that's maybe a little bit stressful, maybe doesn't make us that happy, because all of that stuff strengthens us. It makes us stronger and tougher and harder. And that helps us grow even more. And so I won't say that I don't focus on happiness, but I have accepted that sometimes it's just not the time to be happy. Sometimes it's just the time to get to work, and the happiness will come later. And I'm making those deposits and those investments now for some future happiness. Doesn't say that I'm just a miserable mess right now. I take my withdrawals when I need them, but I'm constantly depositing into that bank account so that I can withdraw the happiness that I need whenever I want.
Now that makes sense. Because I think, like, what I was saying with happiness and sadness, what you illustrated is true happiness. Because true happiness, you're going to experience all emotion. You know, you're not a robot. You're not just waking up smiling. For the most part, you have to find a reason to smile, you know, if you be real. Because life will not wait to, you know, rain on your parade. As soon as you start cracking a smile, that's when life will happen for you. But I like what you said, because I think that is necessary. We can't be in denial. I remember someone on the show talked about you have to learn how to absorb different emotions. Because to your point, if you only are happy, then you might be kind of, no offense, but you might be kind of one of those tree hugger type folk where you're just not all there, because you have to have all these different emotions. Because we talk about setbacks, we talk about struggles, we talk about pain. That's necessary for growth. Growth is not, you know, everything is perfect. Growth is like everything falls apart, and then what? You know, like how bad do you want your business to grow? How bad you want this, you know, whatever. When it all falls apart, then what? Are you still going to want that championship, or are you going to quit? You know?
Yep.
So,
right.
Moving right along, man, because I know, I don't believe the time that I'm seeing right now. It's like, how in the world is it 26 minutes already? But real quick, you have BYOB lunchclub.com. Tell the audience a little bit about that virtual mastermind that you have for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, sure thing. So it's free, and we meet every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Central. We usually bring on 4 or 5 panelists that are experts in their fields, and we discuss one specific topic. And so if you're interested in that, if you are running a business right now, or you're thinking of starting one and you need a little bit of inspiration or some more kind of tactical guidance, we meet every Tuesday live at 12 p.m. Central, and you can learn more about that at BYOB Lunch Club.com. That's best year of business, BYOB Lunch Club.com. It's totally free. Come in there, register, show up every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central.
And lastly, real quick before I let you go, you are like I said in the intro, the host of the Do Zone for busy entrepreneurs to help them with business growth and productivity strategies from master entrepreneurs. Tell us a little bit about the mission of your show, because like I said, everybody can listen to a podcast show, but you're coming from a different angle. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're close to 200 episodes now, and we interview other expert entrepreneurs, and we share about best practices and strategies about how they get things done. So it's everything that I do is focused on maximizing the bang for your buck. If you're going to spend an hour on something, let's make sure that hour counts. If you're going to invest your time, let's make sure it creates a good return on that investment. And so the Do Zone is a great place to go and hang out if you love hearing stories about how other people get things done, and also a little bit of business strategy sprinkled in there too.
Been talking to our guest, Josh Thomas. He's the founder of Factor One. Go to that website, factor1.io. Man, anything that you want to say before you take off from, us? What would you like to say to our audience, man?
I love the idea of being refocused, because it means that you had something at one point and then you lost it. But that's kind of the best position to be in, because if you had something and you don't have it now, you know exactly what it takes to go and get it again. Now the hard work begins. You just got to go and do the work.
Good stuff, man. Been talking to Josh Thomas. Go to his website, factor1.io. Check out his podcast. It's real simple. It's the Do Zone, and you can get that anywhere you can hear a podcast. Sir, thanks again, Josh, for your time.
Thank you, Shemai. I appreciate you.